My name is Dorothy Ackerman. I'm with the Portland, Oregon AIM. I'm really glad to be here and honored to be part of the agenda. Mitakoyapi, apetuki de vida woshte, Dayade awasik Deeahop. The God shall blesses each and every one of you that are here today. We're all here today with one mind and one spirit in memory of the American Indian movement, and especially for Leonard Peltier. I'm going to pray to Kashala, grandfather, great spirit. Be with us, each and every one of us that are here today. We're here with all of the other people, all of our people, fighting for one thing, that the Indians may have peace and that our treaties may be granted and our water rights be granted, and for the sake of all of our children and for the future of our children who will be our leaders. We thank you, grandfather, for those that aren't here today. We thank you for those that have passed on who were great leaders of this organization. We thank you, Takashla, for the people the staff who organized this march today. Bless each and every one of them. We pray especially for the leaders of our country. We pray for those military people that are overseas. I pray for those that have gone before us and never made it back, so that we may be free here in this country. To God shall bless everyone that's here today. And we're all here with one mind. And what we're going to talk about is all the same thing for the benefit of the American Indian. Thanks to you all for coming. Aho, Mitakoyate.
Hi, we're going to have a welcoming, and I need a couple of volunteers. We have a sign-up sheet to get the clemency papers that are going to get signed today that'll go to ask Obama to sign executive clemency. I'm going to and I'll be over there with those papers if somebody can walk through the crowd and or a couple of people walk through. I'll be over there in a second. I'm going to have Deeahop Conway come up, Chucky Dog Guy's daughter, and Deeahop.
My name is Deeahop Conway, and I'm a member of the Puyallup tribe, and the oldest child of Charles Conway, a.k.a. Doghide, who was also a member of AIM. I am honored to welcome you to our land, and I thank you for your support. Give yourself a big hand. It's a beautiful day for a march. I'm also a member of the Leonard Peltier Defense Offense Committee. Growing up, I was told stories of the movement and of Wounded Knee, and Leonard Peltier and his wrongful imprisonment. I grew to appreciate the members of AIM at a very influential age. And my father always shared with us the importance of everything that AIM stood for in keeping our traditions alive. As I work in my tribe's daycare, I grow to appreciate it more every day, from our traditional songs and our stories to our language and art. I thank all of those who fought for us to have these things in our daily lives. And I thank our ancestors for sharing with everyone and for thinking of us and this younger generation. And I will pass on our stories and practice our traditions. Thank you and welcome.
In the air, I'm not that tall. Right now we're going to have Arthur Miller come up and give an update, and Ramona Bennett is going to be following him, so they're going to kind of both interject with each other. Ramona Bennett, grandmother, Puyallup tribal member, grandma, great leader, and also Arthur Miller from the Tacoma. Where'd he go? Well, Ramona's up here. Where are you, Arthur? Oh. Okay. Well, maybe the keynote speaker will go now, and then she can interject with our... Oh, he's going to be here in a second, I guess. You want your chair back?
The one thing I always want everyone to understand is that Leonard is just a guy. He's the symbol of repression but he's a person. And when I first met him, he had an auto body and mechanic shop up in Seattle. It had 8 bays, 4 for auto body work and 4 for mechanical. And he had a contract with the city of Seattle. He kept the cop cars looking good and running. No, really, he was too legit to quit. And he was just this good Indian man who worked his butt off, got himself established, had a good crew working for him, and word of this successful Indian, of course, spread through Indian country. And so we heard about this guy who, if the grandmas and grandpas from Montana broke down because their fan belt broke, somebody'd call Leonard and he'd just show up, switch out the fan belt, give him a hug, you know, be on his way. And so the word spread that there was this Indian that could show up with a rim and a tire and a can of gas and, you know, just your good Indian guy, and could help you break into your car when you lost your keys and, you know, stuff like that. And so we were part of Survival of American Indians Association. We were all involved in fishing rights. And like all good Indians, we had transportation problems. And so Allison, she was Allison Bridges back then, and we went out as scouts. We were going to go find that Indian that worked on cars. And we found him. And I remember when we walked into his shop, Allison jumped back, all startled and scared because it was all cop cars. And we were like at war with the pigs at that time. But we got to know him, and he was a good guy. He was just this really good, hearted, funny, normal Indian man who actually come down to Puyallup fishing camp with a case of beer and wanted me to go party with him. Now you have to remember this is like 40 years ago. But I said, no, we've got this fishing camp. We're protecting our fishermen. I can't go with you. And he says, why are you always so serious? Leonard said that to me. So anyway, as time went by, we did the Fort Lawton invasion. We had Puyallup camp. He helped with everything all the way along the way. And if you've seen that movie, As Long as the Rivers Run, there's a scene with the teepee at the top of the hill, and Leonard is one of the Indians standing in front of the teepee. We climbed a bluff into Fort Lawton, and Chuck Conway was right there climbing with us. The three of us spent the night hanging off roots on the side of this cliff. So, you know, I just want you to know this is a real human being guy. He's way more than just a symbol. He's way more than just a symbol. He's a guy with a really good heart. And the thing is that if any elder called him and said they needed help, he was there. And what happened was when them Indians there at Pine Ridge started, when traditional families came under attack from the Dick Wilson Goon Squad, the traditionals, the elders, the families called for help. they said, help, we need security, we need witnesses, we need bodyguards, we need help. And that was Leonard, that was his call. If an elder needed help, he was right there. And that's how Leonard come to be in this whole situation from the beginning. And he and I like to interrupt each other, but he's not interrupting. What's wrong?
Ramona gave you a good idea of what type of person Leonard is, and I've worked for him for 34 years, and the first reason I've worked for him for so long is the type of person he is. After that comes the issues, the case, and everything else. But when you get to know Leonard, you're there for him because he's always out to, in there for us. He struggles behind the prison walls, even for Christmas gifts for kids on Pine Ridge. You know, he'll do that even when he's stuck in isolation. So let me give you some more background of the situation that we're faced with and we come today here about. Long ago when they had forced the treaties upon Native people, which they broke every single one of them, they forced people on to what they call reservations. Most of those reservations was land that the white folks did not want. And back in those days, it had to do with ranching and farming and things like that, the railroad and whatnot. But later, when industrialization came about, this society wanted minerals and had an addiction to energy. And they found out that that land that they once thought was worthless all of a sudden has coal, uranium, oil, natural gas, and other things that they wanted, like gold with the Western Shoshone and whatnot. So they had to come up with ways to get that land. One of the things that they had done is that they declared that all natives, that the U.S. government was the guardian, the custodian of all native people. That allowed the U.S. government and corporations to rip everybody off. They said that the tribes couldn't do it, that the U.S. government could do it better, and better meant stealing from them and creating probably the biggest financial scandal in the history of this country, if it ever gets totally written out, of all the money that was stolen from Native folks on the U.S. government's watch. But then they found uranium in the northwest corner of the Pine Ridge Reservation, high-grade uranium, and they wanted that. They knew that the Lakota people would not sign away that area of their land because they still refused to take money for the Black Hills. So they hatched a plan to suppress the traditional elders and whatnot, and when that started to happen, these folks went to the American Indian movement and asked for requests. Not everybody didn't know what was going on at the time, what was behind it, like uranium and everything, but that led to the Wounded Knee occupation. After Wounded Knee, the government had lied to in the negotiations there and indicted more than 500 people and tried to destroy AIM within the courts. On the Pine Ridge Reservation, they had a reign of terror where over 66 traditional and AIM supporters were murdered, many more people wounded, villages shot up and everything like that. So traditional elders went back to AIM, and the people that they talked to and came out for them was Northwest AIM. The AIM members from out here in mainly Oregon and the state of Washington. Leonard answered the call out of Seattle. Then the FBI realized that they would have to do more because AIM was putting a spotlight on the problems of Pine Ridge. See, that's the thing that made AIM so dangerous to the government and the mining corporations, was not because of what their views were, is because AIM understood how to get media attention, how to work the media. They learned from the civil rights movement and everything else. So where for many, many years, nobody in America knew what was happening in places like Pine Ridge, all of a sudden, what AIM did, Wounded Knee, was putting this international spotlight. And that international spotlight jeopardized the continued theft of native land, not just in Pine Ridge, but with the Western Shoshone, it was oil and coal. With down at Big Mountain with the Navajo, it was coal there. With the Western Shoshone, it was gold. So there was all these billions of dollars that was in jeopardy by if everybody knew what was going on. So they didn't want to have another Wounded Knee because that put international pressure on the government. What they wanted to do is go in to that encampment that Northwest AIM was at and just wipe them out. Well, they planned on the same day that that section of Pine Ridge was being illegally signed away by that corrupt tribal chairman Dickie Wilson. On that same day, the FBI invaded that encampment in a pulled up in a defensive position in the same way that the drive-by shootings happened and a firefight occurred. Now, the FBI said that they were just chasing a young Indian boy for the theft of a pair of used cowboy boots. But those two agents were not ordinary FBI agents, who were counterintelligence agents and FBI SWAT team members. This was the most elite of trained elite FBI agents that they sent in there. They were hoping that since they were so well trained that nothing would happen to them. But there was this whole thing in American governmental politics called the Custer syndrome, where they don't believe that anybody can defend themselves. Well, these people did defend themselves, and they got away. One Indian AIM member was killed that day. Joe Spence killed White. He's also was from the Northwest. He was from Port Angeles. So we're talking about people from here that we should defend because they are our own. These guys got away that day, but later on, two got arrested and in their trial in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, were found not guilty for the reason of self-defense. This was a all-white jury in a conservative Midwest town, and the government's bullshit couldn't even be put over on them. So they went after Leonard with full force. Leonard at that time had escaped to Canada. The first thing they did is send lying affidavits to the government and courts of Canada saying that Leonard was actually the person that shot these people, and they had a witness, this woman by the name of Willow Polebear, that signed these affidavits. Well, after Willow Polebear got away from the FBI, she explained that the FBI had threatened her and had threatened to take her children away from her if she did not sign those affidavits. And Willow Polebear requested that she testify at Leonard's case in his defense. Well, the court ruled that she could not testify because if she was to be believed, it would shock the conscience of the court, obviously. They at least made one statement, right, that judge. So they refused to let her testify. They refused any evidence in Leonard's trial for self-defense, so he was convicted of 2 murders and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. Over the years in the appeals process, we've disproved the whole case that they had against Leonard. The ballistics report, which was one of the main things that convicted Leonard, we proved was fabricated by the FBI. The FBI's excuse was, oh, well, we just misspoke on the stand. The witnesses against Leonard recanted their testimonies. One in the movie Incident at Ovawa, Norman Brown recants his testimony right there and explains the harassment he was under. So we've gone through the whole appeals process, and the courts say that they will not give Leonard a new trial because we cannot prove beyond a shadow of doubt that the jury would have found Leonard not guilty. He said they might have found him not guilty, but we can't prove that. Well, that's a standard that's impossible to meet. Well, we could prove that Leonard was sitting on top of the moon, and we still can't prove that the jury would have found a different verdict. So we've gone through this process. We've gone through a parole process that also has been corrupt. And back in the 90s, we had a parole hearing for Leonard. A lot of good support stuff there, and the parole officer ruled in favor of Leonard that Leonard should be paroled. The parole officer was overruled by the parole commission, and he was fired. Then we went into our last clemency campaign with President Clinton, and we thought we were doing real good, and then the FBI decided to get out there and organize because Clinton was considering it. So the 500 FBI agents marched in front of the White House against Leonard Peltier. They pressured newspapers to print editorials against Leonard and everything. These are things that the FBI has never done. It's the FBI that's responsible for those deaths of those agents. It wasn't Leonard. So now we're in a new clemency campaign. Chances are Obama would not grant clemency until after the election. That's pretty much standard procedure. But in that period of time, between now and the election, we have to put as much pressure on Obama, making Leonard into such a political issue that he cannot ignore, and that is our hope. There's another hope that we put enough pressure that Obama tells the parole commission, why don't we just parole him, that's easier. But either way, however we get Leonard out, I don't give a damn, just as long as we get him out. But the only way we're going to get clemency is if all of us do everything that we can. I don't ask you to stop all that you do in other movements and struggles and everything, because if you do, then the government has won. Political repression is to stop political movement. What I ask for you is to include Leonard in your groups, in your organizations, in everything that you do. Make him a part of it. Go back and get resolutions for Leonard. Get petitions signed for Leonard. There's this 8.5 by 17 sheet going around. We want everybody here to sign them, and we're going to mail that to Obama as the people assembled here in Tacoma ask for clemency. And next week we're doing something different. We're doing a phone and email zap, which little pieces of paper are being passed around. Sue has them. A phone zap is when everybody calls at the same time. Well, we want next week to send a message that the Northwest demands clemency for Leonard Peltier. Take that, and sometime during the week, call and email. That's the only possible way we can free Leonard, short of having a revolution, which isn't a bad idea, is by making him such a political issue that Obama cannot ignore him any longer. We have to be, every time we have a political town meeting in the election, we have to, and they ask for questions, somebody needs to be there, says, how about clemency for Leonard Peltier? We cannot let them feel that they can just ignore us and pass this issue on, that Leonard will become forgotten. He will not be forgotten. He's here for us. We need to be here for him, and we need to keep doing this, getting out in public. Now, someone, I think Maryland, is passing around donation cans. And it's very important that you help us, because we haven't even paid off the cost for this rally yet, and we need to have funds to start going on to next for the campaign. Please help us out. And I thank you all for coming out today. I wish to knowledge of all the great people